Hello, everybody, and welcome to me and Kim's first official movie review. Now, we've done movie reviews before in the past. We just kind of did it as a one-off thing. But if you watch the video I did when it was just me, that it's something we're going to be trying to do more so, but only with like horror/thriller movies.
Yeah.
Not with the other things. And I'll also be doing, this one will be kind of me, but I'll be doing, if you watch The Last of Us show, I'll be doing spoiler reviews of that. As well when the new episodes come out. Now, today we're going to be reviewing Infinity Pool. Now, this will be a spoiler review, but after a certain point, we'll let you know when that happens. So we will kind of talk very generalistically. Me and Kim have both written down our personal scores. We have not talked about the movie. We just watched it about an hour ago. Yeah. We have not spoke about it at all, pretty much, though, because we figured that would be this. So it's going to kind of start with the review, and then we'll give the score, and then we'll go into more of a spoiler discussion, more in depth of things we liked and didn't like.
Yes.
And as always, make sure you're liking and subscribing and doing all the fun things. And let us know if you like us doing this, and let us know what movies you'd like to see us review.
Yeah.
But, so first thing, if you don't know anything about Infinity Pool, basically, I didn't know anything going in. I think that's the best way to go in for every movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you know too much, I think you have too much expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have any expectations for this movie, so the general synopsis of it, and again, I'm going to be very vague with the spoiler-free portion, but there's some rich people that are vacationing, they do some bad things, and basically they're sentenced to death, and they find out that in this country, is it a real country? I forget where we even said.
It said it was filmed in, like, Croatia, so I'm assuming that's where they were kind of, like...
Yes, it's an isolated island resort, yeah. But basically, instead of getting executed, they are allowed to pay a certain amount to make a clone that gets executed in their stead. That's like the basic premise of the movie. So I want to start by saying, like, okay, so for one, it has a really good cast.
Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, I think, both did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah.
As usual.
Mia Goth was chewing up the scenery, like usual.
Yeah.
She was doing a good job.
I would say that this is probably the most manic, like, intense performance. I mean, Pearl's a pretty intense performance, but, like, she's a bit unhinged in this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, she's unhinged in Pearl, if you've seen that as well, but, like, I don't know, there's something about this that just, I just really was like, ugh. She really... I don't know. She's unsettling.
Yes.
She's definitely the standout here. Another thing is I really liked how this movie was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, like, shallow and, like, very, like, close. Lots of close-ups.
Yes, very
close-ups.
close. Yeah. Yeah. It was very close. Like, not really, like, if there was any kind of, like, pullback or anything like that, it was mostly just scenery. It was never, like, your actors or your characters or anything like that. Everything was always just, like, in your face kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say this movie definitely leans a little more towards thriller and sci-fi than it does horror.
Yeah.
There are horror elements in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The movie definitely has some psychedelic parts to it. There's a couple scenes that involve, like, hallucinogenics that get really out there, and we'll talk more about specifics in the spoiler portion, but yeah, there's a couple things in particular that it's just like, okay.
I thought it was very pretty.
Yeah.
It had a lot of really, like, it would switch from being kind of drab when, like, nothing was happening, and then when stuff started to, it would just brighten up, and you were just, it would just kind of, like, immersed you in this, like, what was happening, and I really liked how they kind of, like, switched back and forth between the colors. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of, and also the way the hallucinogenic scenes were done was just super, like, trippy and kind of messed with your mind.
Yeah,
and
it definitely made you feel like you were enjoying that drug with them.
This is a good movie, I think, to see in a theater as well, because seeing it on a giant screen really kind of gives you that effect. We saw it. It was a small theater. It was a Cinemark near us, and yeah, it was really cool to see. And also the sound design is very good for the movie. It really kind of it's kind of minimal. It's not super bombastic.
No.
It's definitely a little bit more. It kind of reminds me of something like Trent Reznor would score. I don't remember who the composer was. It wasn't Trent Reznor, but it reminded me of something that he scored.
Yeah.
Very droney and just kind of off-putting, just kind of accentuating like the creepy factor of it. Um, I will say, I mean, I guess like some dislikes is a little I say it's a little confusing, but also I go into this movie kind of knowing that it's going to be a little bit up for interpretation.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be left, I feel, kind of wanting more from the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it concludes well enough, though. Like, I don't, it's not a, I wouldn't say it's a cliffhanger ending per se. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, it's still, I think what the movie's trying to say has a resolution. Um, and I mean, this movie I think is definitely kind of up for interpretation.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, well, I guess we'll talk about what we think the movie means later, but there's definitely themes of just like, I'm trying to think of like the right way to word it, but there's definitely like themes of just like our primal instincts, kind of wanting to give in to your wild side, that kind of thing. Really
Yeah.
wanting to like that everybody kind of has this part in them that's a little bit
Unhinged.
unhinged, and kind of learning to embrace that.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely like the major themes of this movie. Um, Not a ton of body horror in this. A little bit, because it is Brandon Cronenberg, so it's
Yeah,
there's a little bit.
Yeah,
There's
I was gonna say
things.
there's that whole like yeah.
Yeah. But if you liked his last movie, Possessor, and if you like that kind of thing, if you like the kind of like this isn't an A24 film, but like if you like that kind of thing, I think this will be right up your alley. It did kind of have an A24 film kind of vibe to it.
It did very much,
It
yeah.
definitely is a little bit more art housey, but I don't think it felt pretentious though.
No.
No, I do not. So I think that we'll go ahead and we will kind of give it a rating. I'll let Kim go first. What did you? Kim wrote down a paper, so that way we couldn't.
I gave it an 8.75.
8.75. What's your paper? I was close. I toyed between an 8.5 and an 8. I ended up going with an 8. The main reason I didn't rate it high, I did like the movie quite a bit. I thought that what it did pretty well. I personally, I don't know, I would have liked just like one more like, oh my god scene. We got a couple of those, but I feel like I would have liked just one more kind of thing to really like drive the horror a bit. Like just a little bit more body horror, just a little bit more. Like I liked the movie overall and the way it was filmed, but I just would have liked a little bit more of that body horror that we got just a kind of a little taste of. I don't know.
I think the reason I gave my score was I really, like I said, I really liked the way they switched between, nothing really happening, it's kind of drab and boring, and then the shit starts happening, and it's just bright and just psychedelic and just crazy. I did kind of, I was kind of left wanting more at the end, like he was. Kind of a little confused at the end for me. But yeah, overall I thought it was pretty decent. I thought it was pretty gory.
Yeah, there's definitely
some weird
there is some gore in it. I wouldn't say it's
Sure.
like that over the top gore,
No.
but there's definitely some gore in it.
Yeah.
So I guess now we'll go ahead and get into talking just about the movie at whole in spoilers. So this is your cue now. If you want to see the movie without spoilers, go watch it, and then you can come back to this video. 3, 2, 1. All right, spoilers times. So, I mean, really, the movie is just that. I mean, there isn't too much more to the overall plot line. That is kind of the thing about that when people commit crime in this case, they hit somebody while he's drunk driving and they kill him. And they kind of find out, the authorities do. They take Alex Skarsgård and they're like, "Yep, well, you're gonna pay us money, and we'll make a clone of you, and then we're gonna kill it." And I kind of like the fact, but some people might hate this, that it's not explained at all how on earth they can clone someone.
Right. Like you think that like this is like a third world country and they're like like they take him in this room and these like old babushka looking ladies are like measuring him and doing all this crap, and you're like,
They put it in. They put a
what?
bald cap on, and they put a thing like one of those like where his mouth
Yeah,
stretched.
what's that game? What's that game that you? There's this weird game that came out a while ago.
Oh, I know. It's like a board. It's like a party game.
Yeah,
and
you put like a big thing in your mouth, and then you have to try to say words, and people are supposed to guess them or whatever.
It's one of those.
They put one of those like in his mouth, and he's just like.
And then they just kind of put him in a chamber with goop, and like it starts trying to give you a seizure.
Yeah.
There's an epilepsy wording at the beginning of the movie, which is
funny.
Yeah. But it's never explained. And I mean, the reason I'm assuming it's not explained at all, like how it works, is because that's not the point. The point is the meaning of it, not the fact that they can clone people.
Yeah, basically,
Because I mean, it's
being rich, you have no actual responsibility. You could do whatever you want.
Right, and that's exactly what the movie was. I think it was a science fiction way of going to that point, being like, what if you could basically get away with murder?
Yes.
What if you could kind of do things like and just basically get away with it and just pay to get out of the crime? And it's kind of a loophole because generally, it wouldn't work. Just, I'm going to pay to get out of prison, but literally someone murders you, and they also make you watch your own death. But then the question is brought up very early on in the movie. But after he gets back from the facility of watching himself get murdered, Mia Goth's character basically comes up to him and she's like, "Look, we knew this was going to happen. That's what we kind of just turned you in. This is how we kind of make it go away." And he meets up with her other friends who have all had this happen before. They've all done some kind of crime, but they meet up with the friends that have all had this happen before. And he asks Alex Anders' character, I can't remember any of their names. I think it was
He was James.
Yeah, James. Yeah. They ask him, like, well, how do you know that you're actually the original you? And lots with all of them to say, we're like, we have no idea if we are the original us. Like, they could have switched as they just wake up in a hospital bed and they're told, oh, yeah, this thing's your clone.
Yeah, because they tell them that the clone will retain all your memories because it'll remember that it did the crime that you are being executed for. And so, like, yeah, what if you aren't really you?
So there's that kind of underlying thing to the movie too, is like, how much does it matter and what is being, and this I guess is kind of getting like super like deep, but like what is truly being alive, if it's really just your memories, because like we're just kind of, like you're just kind of like a meat sack, and the only thing that really is consciousness is just simply your brain. So if you create something that has all the same memories as you, like which one is the, which one's the real one, and why are you okay with, like, this thing is created, it's a living thing, and you're okay with watching it be murdered?
Right.
Because that's how it works, basically, is, like, for example, like, the guy who gets ran over, his son gets to go kill James's character. Like, whoever was basically affected by it, they go to get kill the person, and then everyone else gets to watch. And so they kind of get into some antics, and I was a little bit confused. Like, they go to, I don't know, whose house was it that they went to, and they held the whole family up?
I guess it was, like, the guy who...
like, got them sent to jail or something? I was a little confused about this part.
It's the, I think it's the resort owner?
Oh.
I think he got, like, an award or something like that, and... they thought that they deserved it because the one guy was actually an architect and helped build some of his resorts. Mia Goth and her husband, because the husband was the one who was building like a pool, the infinity pool, and it fell and collapsed and it killed a bunch of workers. Yeah, and that's why they were sentenced. Yeah. So they wanted to kind of get revenge on this guy who basically sent them, that did this to them, and get this special award that he was presented. So they went to his house and... Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think they killed him. I never showed them killing them. But then someone else came and like started blasting at him, and they did shoot back. But then they basically all go there, and you think they're actually getting executed, and then you find out that they're actually just watching maybe their clones, or maybe the clones are watching them. This is when it gets really hard to tell who is who. And, of course, that's all done on purpose. And then there's, like, another antic where they try and get James to...
I forget who he thinks he's beating up, but they go to like someone's supposed to be getting a treatment, and they steal the body.
They tell him that the detective, the one that
Okay.
basically told him about the cloning and everything like that, and was in charge of all these cases or whatever, that he had to get some sort of shot for his spine injury or something
Yeah.
like that. So they go and kidnap him at the hospital and bring him to this place and basically let James like beat the shit out of him.
Right. And well, first I guess because this happens before he smokes a drug before he beats the shit out of the person. And there's a scene earlier where they smoke this drug, and it's him and Mia Goth's character. They're having sex, and then it kind of looks like it's actually an orgy, maybe.
Yeah. Then it just kind of blends into everybody's there.
Because it's super trippy. It's just like all these colors and everything's melting together.
Wow. Yeah.
And he starts seeing like, because they wear those masks. If you've seen like the trailer for this or like the posters, it looks like it's like messed up creatures, but it's actually just a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But like in these weird psychedelic sequences, like the masks are their face.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of close-up shots of orifices of some sort. It's hard to tell what you're looking at. And at one point, like, there is, like, a nipple and, like, it's not milk, but something coming out of that nipple.
Yeah,
it's like a gel, and it's horrible. I don't know. That's some of the body horror we were talking about previously.
Yeah.
It's nasty. But the flashes, and it's just gross, because there's just random flashes of things, and you're like, you think you might know what it is. Like, there's part that looks like a hairy something. It might be pubes. I don't know. It's a quick flash, and you see it a couple times. It's this hairy mound. Yeah. And it's just, like, suggesting that it could be something.
Yeah.
But you don't really know.
Yeah.
So it was really trippy. But anyways, he beats the crap out of the guy and finds out that it's actually himself.
Yes.
And Mia Goth's character tells him, oh, well, we actually had another clone of you made because it would be funny, haha.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's real funny.
And then that's when the movie kind of does take a bit of a turn because he decides, all right, I'm actually done with this. I am going to leave, because originally him and I think it's his wife, were there, and he says that he can't leave because he lost his passport. Well, yeah. He knew where it was the whole time, because he probably wanted to stay there because he's an author, and Mia Goth's character says that she's like a big fan of his. And I think he finally feels like he belongs, and he has writer's block, and he's like, no, I want to stay and like live this wild life for a while longer.
I want inspiration.
Yeah, but it really freaked him out, beating up himself and like having to like literally face himself. And I'm sure there's some kind of like representation there that the movie's trying to say about that. Like, actually, like really thinking about it, because like what, you beat the, like, I think what it's trying to say is like, you'll beat the crap out of someone's like horrible people will do horrible things to other people. And then he sees it's himself, and all of a sudden it freaks him out. Mm-hmm. Why did it freak you out when you saw it was yourself, when you thought it was a no-name that literally had a bag on their head? You're okay with murdering them, beating the shit out of them, but as soon as it's yourself, you're not okay with it. Mm-hmm. So he tries to escape. He gets on a bus to go, to get on a plane to go home, when Mia Goth and her croonies drive by the bus and shoot the bus windows out.
Yeah, they basically, like, hijack the bus and make him get off of it, and then they make him walk back to the resort.
Yeah.
While they drive their car behind him.
And this is where I think Mia Goth was super creepy.
Oh, she was just screaming that's the only reason I know what his name is, because Jamesy. Oh, and she had a bucket of chicken.
Yeah. Well,
and a bottle of wine. It was just like,
because she's laying on the hood of the car while they're making him walk in front, and she's saying, I never actually liked your books. I didn't know who you were. We just found someone, because basically he's not rich. It was just his wife that was. Mm-hmm. She had all the money. He has nothing. Yeah. And they found basically a poor person to mess with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what she's claiming, that they're doing. Eventually he escapes, and she makes some like gunfire and hits him in the leg, and he goes to a farmhouse, and there's like a couple ladies, they maybe take him in. Mm-hmm. And he has a flashback to the kid that stabbed his clone, that was the guy's that they hit son.
Yeah.
He has like a vision of him like choking him, but I don't think all of that, I think, was just a dream.
Yeah, I think it might have been a fever dream, just because he was shot and he lost a lot of blood and stuff like that. But then Mia Goth and her cronies come to find him at the farm and basically confront him again and bring yet another freaking clone of him.
I think this was the same clone. because
Was it?
he never killed the guy.
Oh,
See, his
that's
face was still
right.
all cut
Yeah.
up.
Okay, so this was the same one. They just, yeah.
But this one didn't really talk, and they would like bring out the dog, and they walk a naked, Alexander Skarsgård out, and he's like
Yeah.
all on all fours and stuff, and they give real James, probably real James, a knife and basically tell him to kill the dog, which at first he refuses to do. He throws the knife down and like they put it back in his hand and he like throws it. And he's like, go fetch, and they release the dog, and he fights himself until finally, in a fit of rage, he like just beats the living shit out of the dog and does kill it. I mean, like punches his face probably 20 more times than he needed to.
Yeah, that was. There were chunks and I think an eye and some other things just kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
I just
it was kind
every
of
time
gory.
they took a shot, I was like,
Yeah,
okay, we get it.
yeah, it went on for a while.
It's mashed potatoes. Let's go.
And then Mia Goth comes up and holds him, says, it's okay, takes some blood off of his hand, wipes it on her nipple, and then he sucks on her nipple for a while, breastfeeding. So that's a thing. So, like,
That's weird.
what do we take away from this scene? I mean, I assume, the whole killing the other self thing is kind of like him, because originally he cowered out. He was fine beating up someone else, but then he wouldn't. Once he saw it was actually himself, he wasn't okay with killing them anymore. So actually killing his other self, harming himself, kind of, I don't know, proves that he's willing to go like as far as it takes. It really, maybe it also might say that like he's finally reached like peak insanity, like really given into his wild self.
I was gonna say like, yeah, like,
or maybe the dog represents the wild self and he's finally like taking control of it by killing it.
that could be.
There's a lot of things I feel like you can interpret. And if
Yeah.
you've seen the movie, and hopefully if you've watched it this far, you have, since we're spoiling it, what did you think that this scene meant?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you interpret it? I mean, there's so many ways.
I kind of thought that it was maybe like he was basically like he was finally accepting that his old life was over, and like this is him basically embracing his new life and starting over.
I guess you could almost look at it like that too, because that was he was the dog on all fours, and like it could be like allegorating to, I don't know if that's a word. It could be kind of looking at like the lens of like rich people and how we perceive them, looking at people like normal people, that we are nothing but dogs, and him kind of like killing that side of himself, like to be like, like the superior version, being like, I'm done being like a peasant or something.
Yeah.
Of that, which kind of makes sense too, because like, so after this, they all basically go to the airport and are getting ready on the plane. Mia Goth has her hair pulled back and like she's not being wild anymore. All of them are just kind of like, all right, time to go home. And she's just like, thanks, James. It was a good time. See you later. And he's waiting at the airport as well. And then there's like the shot where like the noise gets louder and louder, and then it cuts to he's just sitting in the airport alone. And then it cuts back to the hotel, and it's just completely empty because I guess it's rainy season on this island. And so no one goes there. Everyone leaves when it's rainy season. And then it cuts to him just sitting on a lawn chair in the pouring down rain.
Yeah.
And that is the last shot of the movie.
Yeah. Which kind of confused me because for one, his plane ticket said 2018. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to be modern day, like right now, or if this was supposed to be like 2018.
Yeah, they never do say exactly when the movie takes place. I wonder, I don't know.
Because does that mean that he's been...
Maybe.
So maybe that means that he's actually been there this whole time.
For years.
And he just doesn't realize it?
I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're going for there or not. Like, I like to think of it... I don't really know how I take this scene. That I assume it's probably something of he's not able to... He feels like he can't fit in maybe anywhere else because, like, of the experiences he feels like he is, like, drawn to and belongs in this, like, world of unpunishable crime. But also he has no money. And so, like, if you're taking the money aspect, how is he going to pay to keep getting a clone made
right
every time he does bad things?
Yeah.
So I really don't know exactly how to take the ending, but yeah, there's a lot of different things that it could mean.
Yeah, because like, okay, so he's in the hotel before he's getting ready to get on the bus to go to the airport at the end, and he's talking to his wife and saying that, yeah, he's apologizing. I can't wait to see you. Blah 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 blah. And he's packing his bag. Which, okay, here's another thing. By
Yeah,
the way,
yeah,
so when
yeah.
your clone dies, they give you the ashes in an urn
It's
for
pretty
you
funny.
to keep. So he's packing his bag and he has 3 urns
For the
in
2
his
crimes and the
bags.
dog.
And the dog. Yeah. So he's got these 3 urns of his clone's ashes in his suitcase that he's packing. Like, how do you explain that through customs?
Well, I
Like,
don't know. He never
3
went.
random people?
Yeah,
Like,
he never left.
yeah,
So
even if he did leave, like, how would you be like, oh, yeah, by the way, that's me and me and me?
because you're rich and you're above the law when you're rich. That's kind of the
Yeah.
theme of the
Above the law.
movie.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I was kind of confused because he, like, basically was apologizing to his wife, saying that he was coming home, gets on the bus, goes to the airport, everything like that. And it's like, and then next thing you know, he's back at the resort. And I'm just like,
yeah.
wait, what?
I'm assuming it is just something with that, like he just can't leave. The same reason he hid the passport and wouldn't leave originally
Yeah.
is like he I don't know, maybe feels special being there,
Yeah.
and just feels like that is what he needs to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's a very strange movie. I expect it to be a strange movie, and I would say it's at the same level of strangeness that I was basically expecting.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I literally had no clue. Like, all I had seen was a movie poster for it, which was basically just like red with water, and it had like their faces, and they were just kind of going like that, like
Yeah.
laying in the water, and that's it. And I'm just like, okay, that looks weird. Sure, I'll go see it. So I had like zero expectations.
yeah. Um, but no, like I said, overall, I think it was a pretty good movie, and I feel like you'll know, if this is the thing that's going to be up your alley or not.
Yeah.
If you like these type of movies, like I said, if you're looking for like a straight up horror slasher, that type of movie, haunted house flick, this is not that at all. It definitely is more of a thinking man's type of horror / thriller. But you might still find even enjoyment in just watching Mia Goth be insane. So, because she's real good at that, and I hoped that she keeps getting like cast and roles. She's like the new modern. She's one of like the modern day scream queens. Her and Jenna Ortega have really just taken like 2022 and 2023, early 2023 by storm so far.
Well, you can't really tell if Mia Goth's like mad at you because she has no eyebrows.
Well, it's because she's blonde. Yeah, she has eyebrows, but they're blonde, I think.
But
So
like, you can't see them, and you can't tell.
Yeah.
Like, when you're angry, your eyebrows go like this. Like, you can see my eyebrows doing things. You can't see them, and it frustrates me because I'm like watching her, and I'm like, is she legitimately upset? I don't know.
Jamesy.
Jamesy.
God, that was horrible when she was like, yeah, it's a wild movie,
It
but
is a wild movie.
yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching, and again, make sure to let us know anything else you would like to see us do. Join our Patreon if you want to help support us. Also, you can give us super thanks. That's also cool.
Oh, wait.
And Kim has to find a
Oh,
dingalingy. Did you find one?
yeah, we'll use the code.
And ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching and/or listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.